Mohawk Jewelers, timeless jewelry for generations.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show Fight Against COVID 19. I'm your host, Dr. Shefali Agrawal. Thank you for liking our show and also participating in our show. Today, we have somebody special in our show who is from Boston. In this show, we have talked to many, many people across the states. We have talked to people in Texas, in Chicago, Boston, New Jersey. We've talked to people who are making masks behind the scene and helping the frontline healthcare workers. We've talked to people who have supported restaurants. We have talked to people who actually are in frontline. And we have also talked to people who are supporting things like daycare centers. So it's amazing to connect to people through the show. And so in our show today, we have a doctor who's working in frontline and supporting COVID patients. I'm very excited to introduce Dr. Rishi Lakhi from Melrose Wakefield Hospital in Boston. Welcome, Rishi.
Thank you, Shefali. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for being on the show. So, before we start the show, I just want to say that whatever we'll talk today is Dr. Rishi's opinion. It's not the opinion from Melrose Wakefield Hospital. So, I just wanted to make sure we kind of go through that. So, Rishi, tell me a little bit about your family before we go into what you're doing and how you're supporting in frontline.
Sure. So I grew up in Ludhiana, Punjab, India. That's where my childhood was. Did my med school at Armed Forces Medical College, Pune. I always say that's what made me what I am today. And from there was a pit stop in Chicago where I did my master's in public health and then residency in Pennsylvania. Me, my wife, 2 kids. We are now settled here in Boston, Massachusetts since 2008. Work here locally at a hospital.
Okay. So, I think, in terms of how are you supporting this fight? What are you doing? Can you provide your contribution in terms of the hospital and how do you see these patients?
Sure. So I am an internal medicine physician. We take care of all the patients who get admitted to the hospital, me and my team. I work at Melrose Wakefield Hospital through an organization which is called Team Health. It's a national management and staffing organization. So me and my team, we are responsible for taking care of all the patients who get admitted to the hospital. These include patients who are COVID and non-COVID. And it's been a very different experience. There is a reason why they call it unprecedented. I mean, things have evolved on a day-by-day basis for us.
So, Rishi, I think that brings to a great point. Why do you say it's so different? I mean, I'm sure you have worked in this field for a long time. Can you explain why is it so different? Why is it unprecedented?
So, first of all, the biggest thing, I do not think we have seen anything as contagious as COVID virus. The fact that it spread like wildfire in New York and then other states, and especially even in India with all the curfew that's going on, tells you the contagiousness or the nature of this virus. From a clinician standpoint, we are so used to doing things our way, but this has brought life to a standstill, or saying going back to the basics. When it was easy just going to the hospital, going to the floors and rounding, now you have to think twice. Where are all the COVID patients? Where are non-COVID patients? How do I make sure my day goes in a way that is, I put less risk to myself and to my other patients who are non-COVID? And just the gear itself, somehow the first few days, putting on the PPE and seeing patients, it seemed different. I thought I could not think straight. But then as humans, we get used to things.
So tell me a little bit of challenges for PPE. I mean, we haven't talked about that in the show. Is it difficult? I know people talk about the shields and everything. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yes. So, and again, kudos to the administration, staff, all the organizations who are making it, who are supplying it, and also for the folks on the ground. For us, I can give you a sort of a visual of what happens going into a COVID floor. So before you enter the room, there is a middle room. From the normal floor, you go into the middle room where we have instructions for all me and my team members, and they highlight what's the first step you're going to do. You're going to wear a gown. What's the second step you're going to do? So the whole process of doffing and donning. And I do not remember these even after doing it for a while. My other folks who do it every day, who do much more clinical work than I do, they probably have memorized it, but not for me. Even for this past week, I go by the instruction that makes it easy. So it's important not only to wear it, go in, but when you take it off, there are steps you have to do to minimize your own risk. And that's where I call the extra steps that each one of us has to do.
And so you have to wear the shield and the. Can you describe the PPE a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. So the PPE includes headgear, eyes, eye protection, mask, whether it's a surgical mask or an N95, then a gown, and then shoe cover. I know in media we see a lot of those white gowns, but those are generally restricted for folks who are taking care of the ICU patients because that's where most of the aerosolization happens or the procedures happen.
And so you brought up a very interesting part about contagious. How, what are the things that make it so contagious? Like how I know that people say breathing, coughing, there's so many things that we hear. What are some of the things that make it really contagious?
Great question. So when it's not just the aerosolization, it's the touch. I mean, there's a reason why everybody's told not to put your hands to your mouth because that's where the secretions are. And if your hands are dirty, you touch on things, that virus tends to stay there. And it stays longer and viable than anything else we have ever seen before.
God. So, I think, tell me a little bit about when you go on the floor, how do you basically, we've heard from people that they talk about ventilations and people, physicians who came on the show, but tell me a little bit about how you, attend to these patients.
Yes. So, I do not round in the unit. I take care of the patients on the floor. And and I think it's important for people to know that we always talk about the high death, high mortality, high case fatality, but there are a lot more patients that we actually discharge home and have discharged many. And we, since the pandemic started, have discharged many of those patients. But to your question on the general rounding, so go in a patient's room, which is a negative pressure. So the way the hospital is, they have designated COVID units where all the called the COVID positive or the patients under investigation are. Go into the room with my whole care with the nursing team. I always like to round with the nursing team, and the patient himself or herself will have a mask on, introduce them. And then depending on what they need, the idea is to give them a ray of hope. These are individuals who on a normal day are walking and talking just like us, but now they are in their silo in a room and do not know what's happening. So we share them with our experience that we have seen this condition now for the last 2 months, and we are discharging patients, and we will try a level best.
Give them hope, right? That don't worry, that maybe there is a chance, right? That's important. Because one thing that we had a nurse who was there on the show, and she mentioned that the biggest challenge for them is to connect to the patient because you're in this care, and there's that barrier that normally you don't have.
Great, and that's where the initial challenge was. But I think with me and the team, the way we have handled it, I mean, we go now one step beyond. It's not just introduction. My name is so and so. Yes, you can see my face, but guess what? We have an iPad where we can connect with your family, or the fact that I spoke to your family and this was their message to you. So bring something personal to make them understand that we are with them in their time of crisis.
So tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are about the treatment. So, we hear new things keep coming, starting from antimalarials all the way to new antivirals, to plasma donation, to vaccines. Tell me your views about it.
Yeah. So it's been a spectrum. I mean, as I mentioned, every day things have evolved. At one point, we were hesitant on Plaquenil. Then every patient who was here for a time period in between 2 weeks got Plaquenil or hydroxychloroquine, the antimalarial drug. And now to a point, we are not giving that. We are sticking to our basics. In medicine, first thing you are always taught and you try to practice is do no harm.
Yes.
And that's where I think restraint is very important from a clinical standpoint. Yes, there is a lot of media hype around things, but unless there is definite data, we need to show restraint. So admitting the patients, giving them oxygen has been the key. Symptomatic treatment, trying to treat their fever, cough medication. If we see something in the lungs that we think could still be an infection other than COVID, giving them antibiotics, and then just managing them on the floor. I have seen a lot of patients with dehydration, especially my elderly patients. One thing that the 40 to 60-year-old age group can do is realize that they need to drink more water. But for elderly folks, They won't.
It's very hard. Yeah.
See them with lab abnormalities, which I have not seen. The highest sodium I saw was during this COVID pandemic. I have
Oh
not.
my God, that must be really challenging to get them to drink water.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's where the IV fluids come in. So there are many other things we do from a treatment standpoint. So as I'm quite sure you must be following, and there's a lot of hope on the remdesivir. And
Yeah.
we as a hospital are affiliated with the Teaching Institute, Tufts Medical Center. So there are trials ongoing for the plasma and remdesivir. I myself personally have not had exposure or given any treatment of that nature because generally those treatments are reserved for patients who are very sick,
Very sick.
in ICU, on multiple medications, and on the intubator or the ventilator.
So, in the vast, coming from India and having dealt with infectious diseases, and now you are here dealing with another, this is something so different than what we have dealt in India or any other third world country. What do you feel about it? Like, how do you feel it's so different?
It's interesting. I mean, living in a developed world and the way we thought of things even till end of February or first week of March. Me personally, I thought we will cruise through this. This is not going to be a big deal. But boy, was I wrong. I mean, this showed the amount of unpreparedness, especially around public health. I think over the years, just being able to have such low infection rates for anything else. We did not have the sort of public health network that now exists in India. The whole point of contact tracing is evolving here, but where I think India is leveraging the existent infrastructure that they have. So totally, it's been different. I mean, all of us have treated the infectious disease in India, but this is totally different. And not knowing, having not knowing the or not traveling, having traveled on this road before, not having as much treatment options. Is
and Rishi, so I think one thing that I want to say is that going in front line and risking your own life and putting your own family at risk, it's a very selfless thing to do. Of course, as physicians, we are taught to do this, but still there is that little scare that's always there. Tell me how you feel when you're going to that floor or even going, although we are there for saving people, but it must be something, right?
Yes, it's. I have. I cannot tell you how many times I have just checked my temperature, thinking that I have a fever, and especially, my admiration for the nursing team spending all those hours with the mask. I mean, we also take care of those patients, and breathing behind that mask, even for 1 hour, it can really get to you since you're not used to it. So those are challenges, but my admiration for all the people who spend long hours in those units taking care of all these patients.
No, I think it's amazing to see nurses, janitorial staff, all these people providing food. They're always in the mask. And I tell you, people who are not used to mask and now especially requirement mask, even wearing mask for a little while is really, it's an issue. Like you're not used to it. But you guys have to wear mask all the time. So it must be really tough.
Yes, and so far it's been lucky in the way doing what is being told to us or what helps, and following instructions have really helped. So we'll keep it going this way and get used to the mask. I'm hoping it's not for too long, and hopefully we will have the vaccine. To your question on the treatment part, I think it's a matter of time with all the intelligence and the people with a lot of brains who are working on the research, especially in your sector as well. I'm hoping that we have a vaccine in the next 6 to 8 months.
Sure. So Rishi, I want to say first of all, what a selfless work. I know it is. We as doctors are always doing this, but this is difficult. This is different than normal, diseases that you treat because that knowingly you're going and risking your life and your family's, it's hard. What motivates you, Rishi, to do this?
I always, so after my residency, obviously, like most of us, there are two roads, inpatient or outpatient. What always struck with me was the fact that inpatient, no matter how the patient is sick, as long as you know what you're treating, patient gets better. Just the sight of the patient and the family who comes in a stretcher and is able to walk back home is what keeps me driving. I want to do good. And I have seen I come from a family with physicians, my father, grandfather, and that's what I've always wanted to do. And now I'm lucky to work with the team and all of us think alike, so it helps.
Yeah. So, the show is basically to create awareness for many things, including awareness of all the great work the frontline healthcare workers are doing, including doctors, nurses, and many more. Any message to the viewers who are watching you?
We will get through this. Like everything else in life, is it's a matter of time. We need continued patience from all of us. Homeschooling is tough, but September is going to come, and as everybody is doing, we have been able to flatten the curve, sort of. As long as we practice good hygiene, use mask outside, hand washing, we will get through this and return to the new normal of life.
So this was really a pleasure, Rishi, to have you and you doing such a selfless work. I mean, people are, of course, helping behind the scene, but frontline workers are going extra way and they're like heroes for us. So thank you so much for doing what you're doing and keep doing. And please be safe from our side, from My Dream TV and from me. And really enjoyed talking to you. It was an honor.
Same here. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Rishi. Take care.